And this is the other cool thing, like using the building block analogy, we're also thinking about journeys as building blocks. If you're a big bank, how many of your customers need to go through the KYC, the know your customer process? If you want to open an account, people need to do it. If you want to get a mortgage, people need to do it. If you want to add an insurance from the bank, you need to do it. So if I'm a bank and I'm looking at that, just as the product feature of identifying myself using a passport online is a feature that we reuse. Not every bank reuses that. There's also like cases where there's 5 different versions of that, but typically like they reuse that. It's the same with journeys. Like you don't want to map out that part for every part of your business, for every department over and over again. No, the KYC journey standardized and it influences the experience here, there, and there. And I think that's another huge benefit to make it easier for people to research and work on these journeys once and then start to evolve them over time and not do it over and over again.
I think this block thinking, I'll do a kind of like a little parenthesis here on the methodology, because I know we have some nerds in the place and who will love that. It's this way of thinking about customer journeys or service blueprints, whatever you want to call them, in blocks is something that is super strong. For those who don't know that kind of thinking, I would highly recommend that you check out Practical by Design from Erika and Megan, because they are the ones that for me changed my way of thinking about service blueprints from the classical front stage, backstage, and classical lanes to, oh no, you can have several different blocks and you don't need to have the same blocks in every stage, and you can be quite pretty creative with those blocks. And I think that's something that I see in in TheyDo, that it reminds me a bit of that way of working. And I think it can be a very good primer for people who are interested in your tool to also see that part of the methodology and to realize, okay, there is another way of thinking about these blueprints.
Shall I? Let me show you something really
Yeah,
nice. What
sure.
I love, like tiny workflow there. It's a side step, right? But let me just pull up a Figma link. Okay, I have a Figma link of a project we're doing. Who cares? I'm going to do it anyway. But this is exactly what we want, right? By using these building blocks, you can do magic in a way that is useful to you. So you can use the standard building blocks, but let me just plop in my proto. And we're just getting started with this whole idea of flexible building blocks for anything. So let me see if this works. Maybe I need to log in, but I'm going to try it. So here I have a prototype I'm working on, and I'm actually putting it in here. Oh yeah, it's loading. It's called journey nesting. There we go. It launches the first page. So I can dump him Figma files. I can put in a Loom video. We don't have all sources yet, but I can bring a lot of the content I'm working on. I can even bring in dashboards from Tableau right into my journeys. So that block thinking is really good. I still need to figure out, I know from practical service design, they have the vertical layout. We still use the lane layout. Like I can geek about this for hours. We're even thinking about like each of these quadrants is like a mini canvas. But anyway, we'll get to that. But that's really cool. But what I love is that this is now visual, but now we have this other thing that we call solutions, right? And if you want to talk about prototypes, we're actually talking about solutions. There's a whole way that you can set and do this prototype thing and make different solution types. So if I'm now saying this is my Fig proto, I'm creating a solution right now. Now I've actually created an entity in my database, a solution entity. So actually, that's a better way of using it. Now let me just add my prototype here. So now all of a sudden, I can start to assign some properties to it and start to track the status. Like maybe this is part of an epic. It's linked to a Jira epic that is already like being created. Now I'm going to push it as new. So now all of a sudden, you're connecting the dots between your product management suite, design suite, and literally start to track it against your journey. And remember, like we're thinking of what journey step does this prototype actually touch? I have some questions. Okay, so maybe this prototype is actually solving that. So you can be like very creative. And again, this is not for the kids. This is for the purists that want to rock on and for the adults that know what they're doing. Like, but that's how we're like now trying to be like extremely creative of making journeys, the source of truth, like the way you can operationalize anything, the way you work. So yeah, sorry, little digression here, but I also get excited to geek out on this.
I see that we're very geeky. I see we have a ton of questions.